What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with reactions to the classics, and today we got a reaction to Loverboy and their top 10 songs, brought to us by a friend, longtime supporter and patron of the channel, Doug. Thank you, Doug. Appreciate you. Appreciate all the patrons who make this thing go. If you'd like to support us in any way, check out that Patreon link below, the Patreon link on the end screen. We could not make it without the patrons. Well, I know a little bit about Loverboy as a child growing up in the 80s. I for sure know about him. I don't know a ton about him, but I know some of their hit songs. And I think I might know more of these songs than I thought after I researched them. But little information on them. They're a Canadian rock band formed in Calgary in 1979. Tried to get signed by some U.S. labels. Didn't happen, so they went with Columbia CBS Records in Canada. Members, Mike Reno, who was previously with Moxie as Mike Ronowski. Guitarist Paul Dean, previously was Scrubbaloo Kane and Streetheart. Keyboardist Doug Johnson, bassist Scott Smith, and drummer Matt Frenette. Throughout the 80s, they accumulated numerous hit songs in Canada and the United States, and I'll add in there Australia through my research. Earning 4 multi-platinum albums and selling millions of records. Except for a brief breakup from 1988 to 1991, they've continued to perform live shows regularly. They're currently based in Vancouver. According to Mike Reno, I've always wondered this, their name was chosen due to a dream by Paul Dean, who, remember, is their guitarist. He had come up with the name after spending the previous night with some of the bandmates, including Reno and their girlfriends, before going to the movies. The girlfriends were browsing through fashion magazines where the guys in the band saw a CoverGirl advertisement. CoverGirl became CoverBoy and then became Loverboy in Dean's dream later that night. After being told by Dean about the dream the next morning, Reno agreed to try it out, and the name stuck. Little personal note for Doug, the patron who brought this. He said this was the first band he saw in concert. He saw them in 1985 and then all the way in 2017. So I think that is pretty cool. If you haven't been with us before, the music will not be in the video, but it's going to be at a Vimeo link below. So click on that and follow along with us. Let's get this thing started. With the number 10 track, we got Notorious from the Wild Side album in 1987. It was co-written by John Bon Jovi. I mean, we're talking about when he's getting to the peak of his powers, right between Slippery and Wet in New Jersey, right? It's the lead track of the album, peaking at 24 in Canada and 38 in the U.S., becoming the band's last top 40 singles in both countries. The music video was directed by the great David Fincher, so I'm sure I know this song. There's a part of the 80s where I know every single top 40 song because I owned every one of them on 45. That's a story for another day. But I'm sure I know it, but it doesn't sound familiar, but we'll see when we get into it. I'll have the lyrics up as always. Thanks again, Doug. All right, Notorious. It was also Richie Sambora was in on this thing. There were 5 people that wrote this, which was not much to the lyrics. It's about this girl who's hot, right? She's notorious. Every schoolboy's dream, every mother's nightmare. But the notorious, that's what triggered the song for me, knowing that I knew the song. Otherwise, I didn't really remember it. But I mean, if it's probably only in the top 40 for 1 week. It was at number 38. But a good, it's an of the time song, man. It's what we wrote about back then. So a good way to start this countdown out. Now we're up to another song that I know, number 9, Heaven in Your Eyes, from the Top Gun soundtrack in 1986. Went to 12 in the U.S., 24 in Canada. Noteworthy is the fact that keyboardist Doug Johnson does not appear in the song's music video. His absence was intentional as he felt that the Top Gun film over-glamorized war and military service. Interesting stuff. So I know I'll know this song the second I hit it. I can't think of it in my head, but I mean, everybody had the soundtrack. There were 2 big soundtracks, came out back-to-back years, Footloose in 85 and Top Gun in 86. Kenny Loggins was on both, famously. Also, Mike Reno was on both. On this one with Loverboy, but with Ann Wilson of Heart on the Footloose soundtrack. So Mike knew how to get himself over at this time. All right, it's funny before it started, I told you, I can't remember how it goes. The second it came on, I knew every single lyric. Not looking at the lyrics. I mean, I had the lyrics up, but I knew where there was going to be a pause, how Mike was going to come in at a different part. It's crazy how music sticks in your head. I mean, this soundtrack was on repeat for everybody in 86. So good power ballad. I mean, it's a power ballad made for school dances. I probably danced to it at a school dance, but shows you their versatility. Next up at number 8, we're going to rewind it to 1981 off the Get Lucky album, which was their second studio album. We got When It's Over, written by Paul Dean and Mike Reno. It features Nancy Nash on background vocals, 17 in Canada, 26 in the U.S. This is one of them I don't think I know. When It's Over. Pretty well-written song, basically just saying, look, this girl's with this guy that doesn't treat her right. Our protagonist here cannot figure out why she's with him, and don't cry when he leaves or sing a sad song. Just be with me. I hope you're with me when it's over because I'll never treat you that way, right? I mean, That's what they always tell you. But yeah, he'll never treat her that way. Well done. I think I know that chorus, right? That's why I kind of smiled. I mean, I would have only been 9 or 10 when this came out, but I think I know this chorus. It sounded a little familiar to me. So far through 3 songs, I mean, good musicianship, but Mike's the star of this, right? Mike Reno's the star of this. Next up, we got This Could Be the Night from the Lovin' Every Minute of It album in 1985, their 4th studio album, written by Paul Dean, Mike Reno, Bill Ray, and Jonathan Cain from Journey. Went to 10 in the US, so also surely I know this song. It just doesn't sound familiar. All right, This Could Be the Night. So the rock power ballad with a lot of synthesizers, right? It's got a lot of 80s sound to this because this is the sound, man. This is what gets you on the charts. This is the thing when you read the lyrics, man. This is not like some I'm gonna love you forever. This is about a one-night stand. That's all this is about, but it's packaged. This could have been done a totally different way, arrangement-wise. You could have the guitars in there screeching. You could definitely do it a different way. Give this song to somebody like Motley Crue, it's going to sound totally different. But they dressed it up into this power ballad with the keys and stuff. So pretty smart on their part. All right, we're going to finish off the top half of this list with Queen of the Broken Hearts from the Keep It Up album in 1983, their 3rd studio album. It was a single. It went to 34 in the U.S. Probably don't know it, but you've heard me say that before on here, and I do. All right, once again, I did know that song once I got into the chorus. I mean, I don't know it greatly, but, I've heard it a few times. Second time they've used a talk box or something on these songs. So a little bit of a big thing in the 80s. Obviously, Styx did it most famously in Mr. Roboto, but it was thrown into songs just randomly, like on this song. But she's the queen of the broken hearts. It kind of makes sense, right? She gives her address, but it's not her address. She gives her phone number, but it's not really her phone number. She was born that way to break everybody's heart. But good way to end the top half of this list. Now we'll jump into the top 5. We got Turn Me Loose from the self-titled album Loverboy, all the way back in 1980, their debut. Went to 7 in Canada, 35 in the US, and 3 in Australia. What's interesting is it was number 12 on the year-end charts in Australia in 1981. So to make those year-end charts that high, it tells you a song has staying power. I know I keep saying it. I don't think I know this song, 1980, but maybe when I hear it. All right, Turn Me Loose. I don't think I knew that song, but halfway through the song, I'm singing it because it's so catchy. Best guitar work so far on this top 10 list, in my opinion. First half of the song, that repeating riff. We had about a minute of instrumental build-up before it started. I'm sure they cut that out in the single part, but it was a nice way. I mean, it's over 5.5 minutes long, by far the longest song that we got left. Really well done there. So yeah, I just, and then the guitar work as it went on later on, and just the gotta do it my way. The call and response, almost lyricism to it, and chorus to it. It was just really, really good, man. It sticks in your head. Now we're up to our number 4 track, Working for the Weekend from the Get Lucky album in 1981. Now, before I even tell you about the research, a couple things. I think this is by far their most famous song, at least here in the States. But also, it shocked me that this song was 1981. In my head, I would have thought it was later in the 80s because I know it so well. But there's also some other shocking stuff in here. Written by guitarist Paul Dean, vocalist Mike Reno, and drummer Matt Frenette. Lead single went to 29 in the US. The song only went to 29. Now, it was number 96 on the year-end chart, which is crazy for a song that only went to 29. So it had staying power. 10 in Canada, 19 in Australia. It was ranked at number 100 on VH1's 100 Greatest Songs of the 80s. The song originated when Paul Dean was walking out one Wednesday afternoon looking for inspiration in his songwriting. He noticed that much of the area was deserted as most people were at work. He said, quote, "So I'm out on the beach and wondering, where is everybody? Well, I guess they're all waiting for the weekend," he later said. Mike Reno suggested they change the title to Working for the Weekend. According to Dean, he first began writing the song in a hotel room following a Montreal concert. At the time, the band were still playing bars to little response from patrons. After completing the song, they used it to open one set, and Dean recalled that, quote, "The dance floor was packed." I'm just shocked. Now, this song, the list that this song is in of movies and TV shows is just endless. So I think that's why it just has a perfect chorus, a perfect sentiment that every working man can get behind, right? All right, just a perfect construction of a hit song between the chorus being so catchy, but the post-chorus and the change-up is also so memorable. The guitar work's fantastic. Where the instrumentation comes in on Mike's emphasis on certain words. Like, it's a masterclass in how to build a hit song, and I don't think they probably knew what they were doing at this time. It's only their second album, but It's why it has such staying power. It's 3 minutes, 42 seconds left, and it's just it jumps in from the very start. You know what it is. The keyboards are used correctly, not overused. It's just a great song, man. It's a great song. We're getting up into rarefied air. Doug's top 3. Number 3, we got The Kid Is Hot Tonight from that debut album in 1980. Second and final single from the album, 20 in Canada, 55 in the US. But many speculate this song is about up-and-coming fellow Canadian singer-guitarist Bryan Adams. Not Bryan Adams, boys and girls, Bryan Adams. Bryan Adams was fantastic. Man, I love me some Bryan Adams in the 80s and in the 90s. Like, it seems his music history, he's kind of forgotten a little bit as time goes on. He was huge and he was fantastic, man. Absolutely loved him, but I really don't think I know this song. Well, let's find out. All right, The Kid Is Hot Tonight. A really good song. Yeah, a different sound in 1980. Music really evolved in the 80s, right, to all these different sounds as we go throughout the 80s, and I could actually speak on that. That's the decade I would be the biggest authority on because I was through my formative years, right, my teen years, my preteen and teen years. But you can tell the difference even on this top 10 list of where music is, how much are the synthesizers used, how much are the guitars first and foremost, and then where they kind of put back into just with all the other instruments. But really good song. I'd never heard it. Interesting to write that about Bryan Adams, but I mean, he was so huge in Canada where they're from. So I'm guessing that's why. I don't know if they knew him or any of that. I couldn't find any of that on there. And it might not be about Bryan Adams. That's just a speculation. So let me put that out there too. I don't mean to just go with it and run with it. 2 songs left. Number 2, Hot Girls in Love from the Keep It Up album in 1983, 11 in the US. I'm sure I know this song. Hot Girls in Love, definitely knew that song the second it came on. So catchy. And, they have different writers. These guys, different incarnations and partnerships within the band of writing these songs. But, the lyrics are not going to bowl you over, but they're very catchy and they very much understand how to bring that instrumentation in on those catchy parts, right? On those lyrics, on the chorus to make it stick in your head, especially the keyboards and the guitar work on there. But well done. Now we're to Doug's number 1 Loverboy song. We got Lovin' Every Minute of It off the album of the same name in 1985. Number 9 in the US, becoming their first top 10 hit, 11 in Canada. It was written by Robert John Mutt Lang. Interesting story here. They were almost done writing songs for this album, but they felt they needed one more song, preferably a big hit, which I would surely think all artists, preferably a big hit, to round out the record. However, everyone in the band was out of ideas. They begged their manager, Mike Shipley, to find someone who could write one more song. He called up Mutt Lang, who agreed and wrote this song in 2 or 3 days. However, Mutt was in England while Loverboy was in Canada, and the band needed to know how the song sounded. So here's what Mike Reno said. He said, quote, "There were no cell phones. There was no way to get the stuff here. There was no magic email. That wasn't even created yet. So what happened was that Mutt held the phone up to the speakers, played the song from England, and we recorded it from the telephone line by holding a little recorder up to the phone. We said thanks, and then we hung up and we proceeded to pick this song apart and give it our best try from what we picked up off the phone. A lot of it probably wasn't very well heard, so we had a lot of it to make up." That was kind of an interesting way of doing things, right? It's insane, man. Pre-technology, but there's some cool stories like this that come out of that, and I definitely knew this song really well. I loved this song. Number 1 on Doug's Top 10 Loverboy. We got Lovin' Every Minute of It. Lovin' Every Minute of It. Such a catchy song. I have mentioned this album before on this channel. I mentioned on my last reaction I did for Doug to Lee Aaron, my love for the Hysteria album from Def Leppard. I love Pyromania too. I love Def Leppard. But Mutt Lang produced Pyromania a few years after he wrote this for Loverboy, and it has a lot of the same catchiness in here. Once you know that Mutt wrote this song, you can hear it in here. But the whoa, the call and response, all of it, man, just sticks in your head. So a fantastic choice for number 1. Now we'll get into my favorite tracks. It's pretty easy. I just have 5 faves. I liked every song on here. There's no song on here I didn't like. I liked all of them on here. But my 5 faves are going to be Doug's top 5 songs, right? Turn Me Loose, Working for the Weekend, The Kid Is Hot Tonight, Hot Girls in Love, and Lovin' Every Minute of It. I don't usually go right down the line like that, but that's just the way it was for me. Top 5 are my 5 favorite, but the other 5 were really good too. Loverboy, just a fun 80s band, right? They didn't take themselves too seriously. They knew what they did well, and they did it very, very well. And I knew more of their songs than I thought, man. So thank you to Doug for bringing this one to us. Let me know your favorite Loverboy tracks down below. And what do you think their best album was? be an interesting discussion to have too, because the sound does change somewhat. They stay true to themselves, but it does change, as I said, as 80s sounds change. So thanks again to Doug. Until next time, guys, I will see you.